Well, hello everybody. It's Ari from Art and Bakes, and today we are going live showing you how to make this corner fold back card with some 3D toppers. Now, mine's all Halloween based, but this particular card could be used in so many different ways. Just change the element that's on the top here and change the colors that you're using within your card. So I've pretty much stuck with just basic cardstock with the exception of one pattern paper, which came from an old paper pack that I have. This is an old die cuts with a view pack that I have. It has a whole bunch of really cool pattern papers in it. I actually used this stripe one, this yellow one on some previous cards because it has a nice solid color on one side and then like a matching dots on the other. So it's a great little paper pack that I've been kind of gravitating towards lately. So what do you do to start off with? Well, let me kind of separate out my stuff. We are going to make the skull, but just to show you what this card looks like, it's a 3D element that's on the front. I mean, it's got like some three-dimensional stuff. It's really kind of fun. You open it up and it has a nice blank on the inside that you can write with, and then it's got a fun little element on the back. So it's a little bit, it's kind of a fun fold, kind of a normal card, a little bit in between, a great beginner card, and or if you just want to have something a little bit different than your normal, and it's just kind of fun. Awesome stuff. Okay, so I am going to make the batch one actually on my Facebook. So if you want to see kind of a quickie version when this is all over and just to kind of speed it up and not live, then you can check that out there. The first step you're going to want to do is go ahead. Actually, we're going to do this one first. We're going to go ahead and build our little 3D element. There's a whole bunch of these. This 3D elements come from a company that's based out of Holland, and it is called, I just had it, Art and Crafty. They have these 3D toppers. This one is the Halloween pack, and it actually has 10. I only have a few of them with me, and you can get them from European Paper Crafts, and that link is down in the information section for you guys to check that out. So all you need is basically you need some fun foam or some sort of like three-dimensional pop dot kind of stuff, however you want to do that, and just place your elements, your poppy pieces. I found a pack hidden in my supply closet that I have. I was digging around for something else. I was actually trying to find some clay, and I was like, oh, look at that. I have that. So I pulled it out. So I hope everybody is having an amazing day. I'm doing pretty good today. I'm actually feeling so completely exhausted. And I hope everybody is having fun. See some people are on. Jump on. Say hi. Love to hear from you. All right, so you add your elements to the top, and then it's just a matter of popping it up. And you can make this even more, like you could double up your pop dots, or some of the foam pop dots have even more spacing on them. Like here's another set that I found when I was digging around, and it's even more space. So you could really make this dimensional. I don't want this to be too dimensional because it's got 3 layers on here, and I want to be able to still be able to put it in an envelope if somebody wants to use it for an envelope. So this one's got 3 different parts. Go ahead and pop up the last little, oops, it's flying piece here. Little element right there. And then one last little guy up here. And that's it. That's all you need for your fun foam for this stuff, or your 3D foam dots. Well, good morning, Kathleen. Or it's afternoon now. I had a doctor's appointment this morning, so that's why I'm a little late in getting on than what I normally do, because I had to go to the doctor. Still checking up on everything and making sure everything is cool and nothing is all messed up and things are on track. I'm healing. Everything's going better. So that's awesome. Yay. All right, so here is that pattern paper that came from that Die Cuts with You pattern pack. In the card I had already made, I had the pattern paper facing the inside of the card. So the solid paper is actually on the outside, which I like. So here's, because all you're seeing is that piece right there, because you're going to fold it over. So I wanted to see that pattern paper right there. So this is just an A2 size card. I make the A2 size cards because that is what I use for my card swap. And I make cards so frequently on this particular Card Making Wednesday that I didn't want to make cards that I can't swap. And even though I can't maybe swap them right now because I'm not doing that particular swap, I always only swap the A2 size cards. So if you are interested in joining in my card swap group, more than happy to have you. I will leave a link down at the end after I've recorded this video, along with all the measurements. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days to get the measurements. If I get swamped, like right after this, I have to go grab the kids because I got a little delayed today. But it will go up. And if I don't, leave a comment and I will put it up for the reminder. All right, simple as this. You want to fold your card, but leave a little bit of a space right here. So you just kind of eyeball it and do your best to make sure that you do a straight back fold. This is like pretty much the hardest part of the entire card. And that's it. Look at that. If you want to get out a scoring tool, you totally could. It is totally up to you. And that is the fun fold of our card. Yay. All right, I have all my pieces right here in front of me, so I'm just going to start grabbing them. I have pre-cut everything. Basically, it's all squares and rectangles. I wanted to have an element on the back side of the card, but we have to measure this. So this one I have measured to be not quite 1/4 of an inch. This is 1/8 of an inch less in size. So instead of being 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, this is 1/8 of an inch less. And don't ask me what that measurement is because that's a really funky measurement. All right, all I'm doing is I'm coming in right where this little fold is, and I'm making a little hash mark right there. And then I'm coming in right where the fold is and making a little tick mark. And this is the only cut that you're going to have to see me do, because I've already pre-cut everything. Because all my elements are all stuck on here. And then line up my 2 little tick marks. I made them super tiny, and it's on black paper, so it makes life even harder. So I got to see where I can find it. There's one. Got to find the glare on it. So one's right there. That's my thing wants to. Come on, show up. Oh, I can't even see that one. It's I'm blind. Oh, there it is. I can see it from this angle. So I have one right here. And the other one, man, it really divided in there. One right there. All right. Pretty. Oops, I just shimmied it. I'm going to recheck that because I don't want to screw that up and recut. And I have to recut black paper with you guys. And that would be a mess and a half. I'm sorry. I just don't want to mess it up. You know, everybody says measure twice, cut once, because you're kind of out of luck. I'm going to make this a little more prominent because I'm going to cut it off anyway. No big deal. There we go. All right. So yeah, I can definitely see those a lot better now. So line that up right there. Line that up right there. There we go. Grab those 2 and slice. And then you can use that for whatever. You done with paper trimmer? Yes. And then this will fit right nicely and snugly under here. And that's why I measured it. And it's right there. So now at this point, you just have to stick everything down. So I'm going to grab my Xyron tape runner. We're going to use that for pretty much everything here. And go ahead and line this up. Now, the key about this particular card is that you want to be able to make very, very straight, precise measurements here. So if something doesn't line up exactly right, so if this fold is not exactly a good square, it's going to make everything look a little bit off. Go ahead and glue down this fold. This is not an interactive card. This is one that just has kind of a fun fold with it and gives it something kind of different. So there's that piece. All right. Next, we're going to start building. We're going to go from the inside out, well, the back side, just to use up that paper. We have this. You could totally add a stamp. I also love these kinds of cards because, man, I am using up, I don't know about you guys, but I am a paper hoarder. I also did that 1/8 of an inch versus 1/4 of an inch coming down because when this folds over, and you can see it, if I went 1/4 of an inch, you would barely be able to see. And I wanted to have a nice big white space right here and just a hint of that orange popping. So it's all about how you see the layers here, right? So these cards are an amazing way to use up some of your paper because I don't know about you guys, but I have paper coming out of my ears. And yeah, I use a lot of white paper for bases, but look, I'm using some black cardstock, some orange cardstock, some green pattern paper, and then the white. So and you could use all pattern paper. It would look totally pretty with that too, especially if they all kind of go along together. The only one you have to worry about that is double-sided is the base of your card. Make sure you're happy with both sides of your card. If it's a solid cardstock with a little bit of a pattern or whatever, that's something that you really like as you're making this card. Okay, next we're going to build the element that's going to go on the front, and we have to do that first before we can do the element that will go on the back side. So the element on the front, and I have 2 sections that I cut, and I played around. I played with just these 3 colors. Again, you could totally use pattern papers. Instead of orange, you could use a pattern paper, but I liked because this element right here has got a whole lot going on, I kept with very simple colors that all matched and just having pops of that green and then the orange and then the black and white and really making that element just shine. So on the front of the card, I wanted, and I played around with this. Initially, I had the element, and you tell me what you think. This one's a little bit of a different measurement, but I had it with the white on top. And then I stuck my piece right here and I was like, that just looks really, really boring. It doesn't look as good to me as when it was on top of the black. I liked it when it popped off the black. It just looked better, maybe because it was Halloween. I think if it was something that was more summery or spring or something, I probably would like it better on a white or even a color. But for this particular card, I liked it on the black. I think it just popped better. So the biggest measurement here is 2 1/4. Oh, sorry, 3 1/4. And then I went down by 1/8. And so this exactly, this black square is a 3 by 3. So we're just going to mat all these very, very small mats. I don't want to have them super huge. So go ahead and mat all these. Again, be as precise as possible when you're matting them because you don't want to have that look funny. So what I do when I add my mats to each other is I look at the corner. And I'll show you this one. So add your adhesive. I look at a corner and I look and go, okay, does this corner line up on either side? And I look at the top corner. And if all of that looks to be about the same, it'll line up the rest of the way, especially if it's a square, right? So if everything kind of lines up on this side, you should be good to go. And then you have it nice, perfectly matted and it looks good. So it's just a teeny, teeny hint of that orange popping through, which I think is kind of fun because there's lots of colors in that element that's popped up. We're saving the pop-up element to add to the very, very end because we're going to be flipping around and adding some other elements. Okay, so key thing with this. Hello, I'm glad to be here. Glad to have you. Hi, Dee. The key thing with this is that you do not want to stick this entire piece down because if you do that, it's going to stick your card shut, which is not going to help, right? So you only want to stick the part that's to the front of the card. So go ahead, and at this point, it doesn't matter what side's what. So that's why I also only ever wait to put my element until the very end. And if I had like you could do a stamped image here, I would add that stamped image at the very, very end. How you know you've got it lined up correctly is look at the corner. Tie your corner, your angles right here. And if this angle in this corner fits right on that diagonal, you have a nice square. And there you go. And then just look, does this look the same going all through here? Does that side look the same as that side? Then you know you haven't gone too high up or too low down. It's all by your eye. If it looks good to your eye, then you're good. If you lined it up and you did just, oh man, I screwed up. I put my tape on wrong. Here we go. So here, I put all my adhesive here and then I stuck it down like this. So half my adhesive was sticking up. So make sure you put your adhesive down. So for instance, let's say I lined it up like this. Obviously this amount is not the same as this amount. Or if I went down here, I'm still on that diagonal, but you have to look. It would make a cool card if you want to have it be misaligned and this becomes another element. But for this card, I want perfectly centered. But that would be a fun alternative, how you can arrange it so it goes up or down. That would look kind of fun. And then you could put like little rhinestones here or something, or a sentiment, or you could pop it up and put a sentiment right there. Lots of ways to play with that. You could even do this card as a square and fold back a portion of the square. It does not have to be an A2 size card. Make sure, yeah, okay. I didn't screw up the adhesive this time. So that is basically how you build the card. And then from here on out, it's all just where you want to place stuff, right? You don't even have to add the element on the back. I personally like it. I think it's kind of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and build the 2 mats. I want the white on the top because that's the last piece it's going to go, but we're going to stamp it. But I want to go ahead and line this up. Adding a piece to the back, it also creates kind of a fun element right there. And you could totally stamp on a color, or you could kind of play and have fun. It just adds like oh, there's something there, kind of fun. And then it has all that pretty pattern paper on the background. And it also cements this fun piece on the top. It doesn't just have the adhesive right here. It helps hold the whole card together. So again, make sure you line this up really, really well right here. Look at your diagonal because you don't want to be able to see it from the front. It's like a little hidden something. So you can't even tell it's there until you open up and go, oh, there's a piece there. Look at that. Okay. So now all that elements are done. We have some stamping to do. So I already have pre-loaded my stamps. So here we go, a couple of stamps here, preloaded them. This one just says Happy Halloween. I grabbed these from a couple of stamp packs that I have that come from Maker's Movement. The Happy Halloween is actually coming from the one that says Haunted. And I always put my dies. These ones have stamps and dies that go with them. And I threw the die in here, which was Happy Hunts. So that way my stamps and dies, if they go together, they're together. And I don't have to go, well, where they're not misplaced. And if I pull out the pack, everything is together. Makes myself simpler. So I grabbed the Happy Halloween. And then the other thing I did is I grabbed the cobweb and the 2 bats. And this one is called the Trick or Treat Yourself. So again, those links are down below as well. So I already preloaded this particular stamp on here. So load up my ink. Just a basic, oh, there was one other thing I was going to do. So sorry about that. I wanted to add stitching to this. So I'm just going to grab a black pen and just go around the edge with a little bit of stitching. You can totally skip this part, but I just thought it looked kind of cool. It added something to the inside because the inside's got, it's pretty plain. Beyond this piece right here that has a little bit of stamping, that whole side, let me show this card. This whole side of this card is empty. You could stamp that. You could totally add an image to that. But for this particular card, I wanted to leave it blank as a place to write something. You could also just put a simple sentiment right there. But I decided to add the element of sentiment on this side instead. So you could have fun with that. And so it really opens up a lot of differentness in your card. Okay, so let me re-ink this again because it kind of sat for a few seconds. Cover up my ink pad, which I should not have left. And so again, I've already kind of reset up my card or where my stamps are so they can all get stamped at the same time. You could do a Misty, you could do whatever. I'm just doing simple stamp. Make sure I really push down because I got a whole bunch of stamps here. I don't want to not stamp clearly on one of them. And there we go. Fun, fun. Hello, Danielle. How are you doing? All right. Next, and this is one I debated. So if I looked at my original card, these 2 banners are quite thick. I want to thin them up a little bit. I want to see if it looks better if I thin them up. So I've got 2, I'm just going to throw my tape runner back or my cut trimmer back up here. I swear, this is probably one of my #1 tools I ever use. Okay. Hi, Francis. How you doing? Oh, thank you. I'm glad you love it. So the first piece is 1 inch, and then I went down just a tiny bit to 3/4 inch, but I'm actually going to change it up. I'm going to change this one up to be 3/4 of an inch and 1/2 of an inch. If I don't like it, I can always recut and pull it off. It's pretty simple. Kept with the white on the top. I just like the look of the 2 layers on here. These are way too thin. I couldn't stamp on that. And I want the white to be a little thicker and it just becomes a matte. Sorry, I just burped. The white is also just a tiny bit longer. So it's not only wider, it's also longer. So the white one is a little bit longer than 3 inches and the orange one is exactly 3 inches. It's just a little something different. And then I am just going to eyeball making a fishtail on one side. If you wanted to measure it out, you totally could, but you know what? It's so simple just to come in and kind of eyeball where the center is. And if it's a tiny bit off, it's not going to kill anybody. And it's okay that they're not the same angle. If you notice, I'm kind of making them a little bit of a different angle on each. That's totally cool as well. Meaning by I didn't cut as severely of an angle, making the tails longer. All right, so on this one, I'm going to stamp Happy Halloween, and I picked the 3 inches so it fit nicely and still be able to put a couple of little gems on the edge there. But I went thinner on these elements just to see if I liked it better. You know, I've got it, why not? And then stamp. I love the idea. At first, I was like, why do I need to have so many different stamping blocks? And it's like, well, exactly for this. And I don't have to rip this off, especially if I'm going to make multiple cards, which I did because I already had all this preloaded. I could leave all this on the stamp block, pull out another small stamp block, and go ahead and stamp a small sentiment. If I was only making a single card and not worry about making multiple cards, I would rip it off because I'm not going to use it again. But it has come in handy. Having multiple little blocks. I have a round one that I like. I also have a bigger one that's bigger for a bigger stamp. Like for instance, if I was going to stamp this, I would use a bigger stamp for that. And obviously I have my stamp positioner, but I really do enjoy having multiple stamp blocks. Simplifies everything. All right. I used my tape runner for when I put this banner down, but if you notice, it doesn't quite get into those little, ooh, this is really bright. I'm sorry, guys. Feeling how bright and obnoxious my light is right now on camera. Hi, Shelly. Just hi, Kathleen. I haven't said hi. Oh, I did say hi to Kathleen, but how is everybody doing today? So I decided I'm going to use my Xyron sticker maker because I really wanted to get in and make sure that all of those elements are stuck down. So I'm just going to pop the first one in, a little bit of the longer one. And then so I don't waste my sticker stuff, I'm going to throw both of them in at the same time. And it just basically gives me sticky on everything here. All right. Before I get much into the front, I've left this off to the side to dry. I didn't let the first one dry long enough, and I smeared a tiny little bit of that of the bat, but you only know that now. I don't think it's really not super obvious. Go ahead and apply my adhesive and then center that down, and the inside of our card is now done. And again, you could add a sentiment there if you wanted to, no big deal. It would all be good. All right, so now that I've got the inside done, as you can see, I did the same thing on here. Look how cute. I love it. It's just something that's so simple. By doing that fold, it really does kind of change up the card. But think about for Christmas, you could totally use this. A really cool Christmas stamp on the inside, a sentiment down at the bottom. It really does make everything kind of go, wow, that looks cool. All right, pull off my adhesive here. Everything's sticky now. Grab your smaller of your two little banners, and that goes down towards the bottom. And the reason why I wanted to make this skinnier is I felt like it just didn't have enough of a space. It didn't seem like the amount of space that was on this corner here, it didn't quite work. So that's why I went with a little bit shorter, just to see how well it worked. And do I like it better? You know what? I think I do. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the wider banner, or do you like the narrower banner? Which one do you think? And again, it's being very nitpicky, but sometimes what sets a card off between being, it's okay, versus, wow, that's a cool card. It could be the simplest of just a small dimension. How wide or narrow it is, it all is perspective. And so I'm definitely leaning towards the narrower banner. I think I like that just in terms of, see, everybody's agreeing with me, narrow. Look at that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put my skull on. And so for this, I'm just going to run a little bit of some tape on here. There we go. Get everywhere, and then stick my skull. The skull is definitely the highlight, and it is going to pop up just a tiny bit. Actually, you know what? That lines up just with the card. If I just stick it to the bottom here, it fits right at the top of the card. This is the only one where it's a problem. And just for perspective, I'm going to show you the bat. It's a 3-layered bat. Pretend the skull's not there, and the bat would fit on there, and it's just the right width. So pretend the skull's not there, and that would be your bat. I'm going to do the bat on my Facebook as a sped up quickie video. So for reference, if you want to head to my Facebook channel, it's or my Facebook page, it's Erin Reed Makes, and I have lots of really fast videos. But on here, you get to chat with me and get to interact with me. So haha. A little bit for everybody, right? And for this one, let's go do the gray. I think I like the little gray gemmy things here. Just a couple, just to kind of set it off. It looks like it's kind of being, you know, stuck down. And there they are. Look how fun. Really kind of fun and easy. Change out whatever is there. Have a 3D element. Do a stamped element, whatever you want. Have a fun banner. Fold back. Change up the colors. You could make this card for whatever, but I'm kind of in a Halloween mode. My kids, we decorated this past weekend, so everybody's kind of in our whole neighborhood. We go crazy. The best way to describe the neighborhood that I live in terms of what our Halloween is like, is if you've ever watched E.T. and you see everybody all dressed up and all the kids are out running around and they're all going trick-or-treating and like the entire neighborhood gets into it. That's where I live. And I'd never experienced that before. I've always been in a situation where there's lots of people that don't do the trick-or-treating, which is totally cool. It's not for everybody. It's not for every culture. But, you know, and I've lived all over the world, and some parts of the world, they don't do Halloween. But then we moved here, and it's like everybody's like their decorations are on the lawn. Everybody's got, it's like another Christmas around here. It's kind of crazy, but it's fun. So I really get into the Halloween, and I know Halloween cards aren't for everybody either, but I also love the concept of the card and how simple it is to make this fun card, and just how universal it can be, and how much you can change everything up to work with any stamp sets you have or elements. Think about fun stickers that you have. That would be the main focus. And then just a little bit of stamping and some fun stuff that you can put on the inside. And it really does make for sweet cards. So yay. All right. So before I get off, I pulled the cards out. Oh, there they are, hiding. Don't forget, there is a video hop going on right now for Justine Hovey. She's got 50K, of which I'm about to hit 10K. That's so awesome. I've been working, but it's kind of a fun milestone. I mean, it's funny. You kind of lead up and you hit 10K, and then you hit 10,000 and like in four, and you're like, I already hit it. It's kind of fun. But leading up to it, it's always kind of a fun thing that you're almost at those big milestones. So she's about to hit 50K, which is amazing. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get to that point. It'll be fantastic. And so we have a card, 50 cards for 50K. And what that means is that it's a blog hop or video hop, actually not blog hop, video hop, where you're going through and you're learning different techniques. Kind of like I showed you how to make this Halloween card, but you could use this technique with anything. I'm showing you guys how to use this technique, which is another fun fold card. We've done this before on my live video, but just kind of rehashing and showing you two different ways to make it horizontal and one vertical. So if you've not checked out this video hop, go to my main channel, hit the homepage, and you can see this card up there. And then link and follow. And there is 5 $50 gift cards up for grabs, which is pretty spectacular. That's awesome. You can do a lot of damage for 50 bucks. So that's what these cards are all about. Again, a little Halloween theme going on there. And that is coming to a close pretty darn soon. I want to say in the next 3 or 4 days. So if you've not hopped along, just leave a comment. It's your chance to enter to win. Pretty simple. All right. Thank you so much for stopping by. Product links are, you can find these fun toppers, the stamps I use, the gems, the sticker makers, things like that. Some of the basic supplies that we have here, like for instance, my Xyron. Love my Xyron. Awesome stuff. So I hope you guys will come back next Wednesday for some more card making, but some fun stuff. Christmas cards are coming down the line, but also some holiday related, so because the Halloweeny and stuff, some other fun stuff. And if you ever have any suggestions, meaning it like, how do you do this, Erin? What do you want? How do you make that? How do you use that? How do you whatever? Leave a comment. Happy to help. I'll give you my spin on what my version of that is, because even though you may know something, I might have my own way of doing it and something a little different. So you never know. Happy to oblige if you have any suggestions. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I got to go run and get my kids here in a few minutes from school. Hopefully they behaved and did well. It's always one of those things. Did they act good today at school? I hope they did. And I will see you guys again later. Bye-bye, everybody.